just being me at the pumpkin patch in my later hosen. Okay, so this is episode 8 of Wandavision, and I didn't know what to expect from it. Did you guys expect this episode?
I expected. I think I was expecting more, but I mean, I'm happy with what I got. It was very similar to episode 4 of like, okay, let's take a breather, let's explain some stuff, let's go back
Yeah.
a little bit. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I think I was expecting a bigger build up to the final episode. I figured we would get a Mephisto cameo at the end. I mean, we got a lot. We did get. I've been calling him Evil Vision, but apparently his real name was it White Vision. Is that the?
I believe so.
Yeah, I've just been saying Evil Vision, but and we did get,
Negavision.
which I did not realize. I did not realize this was the first time that the phrases "chaos magic" and "Scarlet Witch" have ever been uttered in the MCU. So at the end, when she's like, "You are the Scarlet Witch," credits. I'm like, "Yeah, no, I knew she was." What? But this is where not following the MCU didn't work for me because I've been getting my information from you guys and from other sort and just like where everyone all the comic stuff has been overlapped with the MCU, so it's like, oh yeah, that did kind of deprive me of, oh yeah, no, she's Scarlet Witch, like she might as well have just been like, your name is Wanda, like yeah, we knew this, what's going on. No, but I liked it. Um I've been a big fan of Catherine Hahn throughout this whole thing, and now I'm rooting for her at the Emmys. I think
Absolutely.
she was on fire in this episode, and I really hope that someone gives her a trophy somewhere. I'll make one. I don't care. Like yeah. No, she was absolutely on fire. I love the decision that, because you could have so easily just made it, I'm Agatha Harkness and I'm evil and I know everything that's happening and here's my evil plan. But the fact that she needs Wanda because she's still trying to figure out, how did you do it? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Was such a smart choice. And it made the episode that much more compelling. So yeah,
Well,
it wasn't exactly what I expected it to be, but I still enjoyed it.
yeah. I loved that too. This was also very much not the episode I thought we were going to get. But I'm very glad that we got it, because I think getting some of that origin background stuff and getting more of a peek into Wanda's past, both things that we had not seen and things that we had kind of seen but from a different perspective, was really great. And I also very much agree on, I love the direction that they went with Agatha needing information from Wanda and needing, she knows some things that she can explain, but not everything. Partly because one of the things that I think a lot of people were bringing up is the fact that, like, everyone's like, well, but Agatha in the comics wasn't really a villain, and I'm like, but she was. That's the thing. She was a villain. She was an antagonist, but kind of almost in the Loki way, like different vibe, but in that sense of like, she is, she has been antagonist, and her motives are not necessarily, purity and justice and whatever. Like, she teaches Wanda in the comics how to like use her magic and stuff because it benefits her as well. And I felt like we were getting the lead in that direction of, like, she's not just doing this because, for shits and giggles, and she's like doesn't have some evil mastermind scheme. She's actually doing this in that, my favorite kind of villain is a true neutral villain who is just doing whatever is going to benefit them. And I felt like we were getting some of that, of like, this isn't out of malice or spite or revenge. This is purely a, like, you have something that I need, and I'm going to get it from you. And if I'm gonna have to do some naughty things like kidnap your kids in order to get, sure, okay, fine, I can work with that. Yeah, but I liked that a lot.
I think, and I was having a discussion with Aaron at the end of this episode about whether Agatha Harkness is the villain, like antagonist for sure, but at the end of this, I'm having a moment of like, oh, wait a minute, this feels like I we throughout the show, Agatha has such confidence and is poking and prodding, and then finally it's like, all right, I need to figure out how you're doing this. You're gonna show me how you're doing this. You're gonna tell me how you're doing this. And when we have this almost therapeutic travel back in time moment, flashbacks, and which I thought that was a fun. I thought that as a sitcom reference to have a clip show.
Yeah.
Clip episode. But to have her at the end then accuse Wanda of being this powerful thing that is dangerous, I don't think it didn't seem like it seemed like Agatha Harkness was now realizing like, oh, this is not the book I should be reading. We need to destroy this book. This is I thought I was going to learn something from you, but you shouldn't. You're a threat to everything. And I feel like it was you have an evil character who justifies destroying something worse than them. That's the feeling I got towards the end of this episode, and what I felt was kind of building up. I don't know. Do the either of you think that Agatha is still trying to control Wanda for her benefit? Because I'm not getting that feeling whatsoever.
I don't think she wants to control Wanda. I think she wants to I think she wants Wanda's power, not necessarily like in the sense of like she wants to. And I'm pulling this partly from that opening scene where like she's talking and she says something about like I can't control it. I think Agatha's part of Agatha's thing is that she has incredibly powerful innate magic that she doesn't have a full grasp of how to use. Like she's figured out a lot of it clearly, but I don't think she's figured out all of it. And I think the piece that she's missing is what Wanda is innately able to do. You know, some element of that. And so the entire plan was like, I need to find out how you're doing this. I need to get you to teach me the things that my mother and my coven and my studies and everything didn't teach me. And what she finds out instead is, it's almost more of an, oh shit, I fucked up. You're not just another innately powerful witch who can help me fill in the gaps. You are something entirely different. You are something that is a legend that isn't necessarily supposed to exist. You know, kind of throwing back to, we talked about the Nexus being the reference in the commercial last week. And something like that, which is interesting too. We also did not get a commercial this week.
No commercial.
It was just a full clips show.
Right. But it was also the first episode where none of it took place inside the hex. There were moments where we flash back to Wanda being in the hex, but technically that was a flashback within, you know, Agatha's house or wherever you want to say it was. But yeah, no, this was the first episode with no hex, as far as I can tell. Or that Wanda was not in control of her.
Yeah. I mean, the closest we got is like when she runs out of the house at the end, and they're still, you know, she's back in her house, having previously been in Agatha's house. But yeah, they don't really. This is a very non-hex centric episode. As far as that, which I think was interesting. But although we did get to see the creation of it and kind of the moment of critical mass that led to it.
By the way, this episode and the last episode kind of bugged me a bit because the colorblind that I am, I didn't realize that they're like that the coven was shooting blue energy and that Agatha was turning it purple. I'm very confused. Like, what's happening right now? It's like, that's not a deep enough purple. I need it to be more red, please.
Yeah, I can see how the saturation would throw it off. Yeah,
adjust the color on your TV. Then
that's it. That's the problem. I mean, that was also the someone said was the best thing about the World of Warcraft movie was that all the evil magic's green and all the good magic's blue. It's so easy to keep track of. So it's confusing me. I'll write a letter to Kevin. Kevin, fix this, please.
Dear Mr. Feyhd.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of. I guess what I'm seeing is it going full circle, where you're having at the very beginning, you're seeing Agatha's origins, and it's her mother. Um, they're all trying to burn her at the stake with their crazy blue magic, and we end the episode with, "You're out of control. I need to you need to be destroyed. You don't know what you're doing. You're I don't see the fear of a prophecy. I don't know. None of my conspiracies fit it. Like, I'm mad.
Yeah.
Well,
And the only thing I got was that there's a coven, and maybe there's still possibility for Arcana Jones to show up. Maybe.
Well, the interesting,
hers is going to be all yellow magic.
the interesting thing too, I think, is, because we sort of started to talk about, like, Agatha, is Agatha the villain or not? And I think that's the other thing is, like, again, obviously at the end of the episode, you're setting her up. It's gonna be Agatha versus Wanda in the showdown, except it's not. Here's the thing, like, yeah, we're in this immediate situation where because of the kids, there's this immediate threat, but I don't think Agatha is actually going to be the villain of the series. I think it is, and always has been, Hayward. Hayward is the one who's going to be the ultimate villain. I think it's entirely possible and even likely that Agatha and Wanda come to some sort of very tenuous, like, partnership in order to deal with White Vision. And that's gonna more firmly cement Agatha into this kind of, like, that sort of Loki bucket of definitely not a hero, but also not necessarily a full, MCU villain either, which I like that gray area. The other thing too is, clearly this entire show is just being a setup for the next Doctor Strange, with the introduction of the concept of the Scarlet Witch and chaos magic that can bring about spontaneous creation and things like that. So it's also going to be interesting to see where if they ever tell us where Agatha's magic lands comparative to Wanda's type of magic, comparative to Strange's kind of magic, because they're all innate magic users, and so it is interesting because we're getting very much into the almost like the D&D class breakdown of, like, you've got a wild magic sorcerer, you've got a wizard, and you've got a monk, which is super interesting.
And don't forget Warlock. You got to throw Warlock in there.
Who's the Warlock? I'm talking very specifically about the types, because, like, Wanda would be a wild magic sorcerer, whereas Agatha would be a wizard. Wanda gets her magic innately, and it just springs out of her and she can't always control it, whereas Agatha is very clearly a wizard. Everything is very studied, everything is very written, and everything can be learned. It's
well, let's call Loki a warlock. I don't know. I'm just throwing in another class to confuse everything.
I was making a specific and delivered point. You're just trying to talk about D&D.
Yeah, I had a very good session last 2 days. That brings another thing that's a little confusing, because in Marvel, all the things have been very pseudoscience-y.
Mm-hmm.
Even the magic that, like, Doctor Strange uses, there's kind of like a pseudoscience reason for it.
Right.
But this is presenting something completely different, and I think it was, and I'm not even sure about it when they go looking at the flashbacks, with Wanda as a child and then volunteering. Is she innately magical person before this crystal, before the Infinity Stone?
Well, and that's the thing that I think we're going to get a reveal on, is I think we're going to learn that maybe her magic doesn't just come from being a part of the experiment.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if that's going to be the thing that kind of gets... Ooh, I have a prediction at the end. I'm going to hold on to it then. Looking back at, like, the flashbacks, the other thing that surprised me was all the things that were written in, like, Reddit and all these theories of, like, why it's going through these sitcom eras. And a popular one was like, oh, this is how probably Wanda and Pietro learned English. They probably sat around watching sitcoms all the time. And then literally the first flashback is like, oh, this is what they do to learn English, is they watch sitcoms all the time. And do we have it too much on the nose? I know Mephisto hasn't showed up, but has this revealed anything that we've been right all along on anything?
I mean, I think that's what it's revealed, is that we're specifically incredibly trope aware. And so we were able to call it. See, this is the thing about the MCU, is like they know that their viewers are smart, and so they're trying to give them really complex, really smart writing and plots and things. And so I think it's just that, the viewership is getting smart. I do think they managed to, the misdirects that they managed to plant to get a good reveal out of Agatha was really solid. Obviously, people who know about that character were able to kind of see, like, oh, this seems like a possibility. But I still think, like, even if it's like writing a good mystery. The point of the way you write a good mystery is that you give the viewer or the reader all of the exact same clues that you give the detective, because you don't want to give it away too early, but you don't want them to feel like they're being withheld or in the dark and that they couldn't have figured out the mystery. You want them to always be like right on the heels of the detective as far as figuring out what the answer is. And I feel like they've been doing a pretty good job of that with this show. I think we're all just incredibly trope aware.
I had a let's see. Yeah. Trying to think, is there anything else that we noticed this episode? I mean, this one didn't have very big reveals. We got an origin story for Agatha that was great, making her how many years old now? Like 300, 400 years old? No.
Yeah, no. So
No,
it was
1693.
Like yeah.
1693.
So
yeah.
350, 360, something like that.
Yeah.
Let me ask this: how do we feel about Pietro or fake Pietro?
No.
As opposed to alternate universe Quicksilver?
Man, I'm still feeling it's going to be alternate. I was really hoping that this episode we were going to get a whole alternate universe, like little like tease, and we didn't. And I was mad. I had to tear down my wall of yarn and like had to start from scratch again. And so
Luke,
alternate reality.
But I think everyone's alive.
Man, I hate all of this.
I mean, I just felt personally vindicated because this is essentially what I called from last week. I was like, I think Pietro is a puppet or a construct of Agatha's, and I mean, I was hoping it was going to be her son Nick Scratch, because that opens a whole fun doorway of other possibilities. So I was wrong on that. I did appreciate the very specific nod too, to where she even says, like, I couldn't use necromancy, so I had to use this other tactic because I couldn't get your brother. Like, I was like, oh, like they really thought this out. Like it's a very specific thing. So
I'm still mad about it. I'm very
You're allowed to be mad about it. I'm just proud that I was right.
I don't allow it.
Well,
no pride around.
One of those things, I'm sure they could have cast anyone. If you really wanted to do fake Pietro, like, you could have cast anyone in that role and it would have been fine. And you would have just gone, oh, that's not Pietro, that's fake. But I love that it was Evan Peters. I just it's an extra level. And it gave us a lot of material to work with for a couple of episodes.
Do you think that was just a fun like slap on Fox? Is like, oh, we got fake Pietro to be in our show, and specifically calling out that this is fake Pietro. All those movies they made? No, that's fake. It's made up.
I mean, it kind of could be. I mean, I think on a certain degree it is. I mean, I think it was more just about the misdirect and the fan joke, but but it wouldn't be the first time somebody's taken a, massive shit on Fox for their dumb choices by just planting it into the script.
And I had a thought, like, I think we're gonna get that reveal next episode about whether or not Wanda is innately magical or not. Or do you think that we're gonna get a reveal that this is gonna be a little reveal of mutants in the MCU as a whole?
I don't think we're getting mutants. I think we we might get a little more about the magic, but even that, I think that's gonna get relegated to the Doctor Strange film. I think we're gonna start to go that direction. We're gonna get the fight over, let my kids go, this is between us sort of thing. And then it's gonna get disrupted by White Vision, and it's gonna turn into like versus the sword agent. It's gonna be our magic users and probably Monica versus Hayward and his fucking army trying to be like, hey dude, destroying us is not going to solve anything.
Okay, so this is a thing. I think so. When it comes to showdowns, I don't think we're going to see Monica going against Hayward. I think we're going to see Monica and Pietro fighting.
I mean, initially, yes. I don't think it's going to be that hard to take down Pietro because Agatha wouldn't expend resources to keep him up if she needs to focus them elsewhere.
Yeah. I keep we keep calling him White Vision. I keep wanting to call him either Cataract because that's opposite of Vision, or I keep thinking of Mystery Taffy. What I'm like Mystery Laffy Taffy, and every time I see him, is like, man, I'm just hungry for Laffy Taffy right now.
I mean, I keep wanting to call him Negavision.
Negavision,
but
all right. What do we predict? All right, let's have clear predictions for showdowns then. Alandra, do you want to elaborate on your next episode reveals and showdowns? Or
I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I think we're gonna start with Wanda and Agatha, and Wanda trying to get the kids to safety. We know that Monica is at play in the Hex, so she's probably gonna show up when that pops off. I think then the like turn point of the fight is gonna be that our White Vision shows up. They're gonna realize, oh fuck, something's breached the Hex. The bigger question I have regarding that is gonna be, does the Vision that Wanda created, who is also theoretically at play in the Hex, is like, how does he come into it? Does he show up and so we get Vision fighting Vision? Does he pop out of the Hex and go fuck up the sword guys? Like, does he disapparate because Wanda moves her resources into something else? So, but I think we're gonna get showdown fight. I think we're gonna get a little bit of reveal, and I think we're gonna end up nerfing Hayward and setting the stage possibly for Monica to take over Sword.
Yeah. Here's my prediction. We get Wanda fighting Agatha. We get Wanda fighting. I keep forgetting Monica's superhero name. I keep calling her Captain Phasma, and I know that's not right. That's a different franchise. Was it Photon? Yeah. What is she?
Spectrum.
Oh, I was way off. But I'm gonna say she has to fight White Vision. Wanda has to fight White Vision, and and she has to kill him.
Yeah.
Either she kills him, and this is finally her letting go and recognizing that she still has the Vision that she loved and is still capable of, conjuring him, if you will, and that this is just a machine. Or she doesn't, and it's her descent into complete chaotic magic. And that sets her up as the bad guy for Doctor Strange.
That's actually a good call.
Yeah.
That's my hot take. And as always, Herb is Mephisto.
Obvious.
Herb is Mephisto.
Obvious.
You saw him walking around in the streets, just totally being a devil. Before the
and yeah, sure, it looked like he was under Agatha's spell in the last episode, but you know who else seemed to be under that spell? Agatha. So you know what? It's all bets. That's my through the looking glass. Here's my other question. Do we want to take any guesses on what the episode title will be?
Oh,
because it will be something like a TV phrase, something like, I don't know, a very special finale or something like that.
What was this one called? This one was
This is
called
previously on, which I'm excited
Previously
for
On.
because it means next week during the recap there will be previously on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, or Now We Return To,
Mm.
maybe.
Oh,
Your regularly scheduled podcast, maybe.
Mm.
I don't know.
I'm looking at the
Yeah.
previous ones again. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. I did we get Luke? Did we get your prediction?
Yeah, Luke, what's your showdown prediction?
Yeah, so I have a few things I'm thinking of, but I think we're gonna have a vision fight, and I think what we're gonna end up with is so if we discover in the next episode that Wanda is innately magical, let's say she's innately magical and she doesn't actually need that power of the Infinity Stone to do any of this, then I think whatever Infinity Stone power that she has will then be transferred to the new Vision body. Vision returns, blank slate though, has to rediscover who he is, does not have a relationship with Wanda, which happens in the comic book when White Vision shows up. He's just like a remade Vision, and he doesn't remember him and Wanda ever being married. He doesn't really have a personality, and it all slowly develops over again. So I think we're gonna get Agatha defeats Wanda by kind of ripping the magic from her, but that's just going to make things worse. I'm curious about how Monica, aka Spectrum, is going to play into this, because she is resistant to Wanda's magical powers, and I wonder if she's also going to be resistant to then Agatha's magical powers. So that we have someone who is then kind of wrestling them both and having to fight both of them to both get them both to stop. And Pietro, I don't know what's going to happen to Pietro. Pietro is actually going to somehow Darcy Lewis is going to come in and fight Pietro. I don't know about Pietro.
I thought you were going to say she shows up and they just make out.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows what's going to happen? Pietro is such a
I think he's a non-player at this point. I mean, he might show up, but because we know he's literally just a construct that is functioning as a spy for Agatha to be able to, see and hear what Wanda is doing even when she's not on screen. I don't know that he's gonna really play into this much. I think it'd be fun if he did, even if it's just a quick I think the idea of him showing up to the fight and then just getting beamed to the back of the head by Darcy is hysterical.
I predict we will see him once, and it will be at the very end when Westview has returned to normal, and you just see him as just his pre-Hex self. That he's just some dude.
Yeah.
It's just a guy. Just some guy.
Whoa, that was weird, man.
And then his adamantium claws come out. What? Evan Peters' new Wolverine. What? I didn't see that coming. Especially with his hairdo. There's a nod to Wolverine. Easy. That's not my conspiracy.
I was about to say, I haven't really thought about the fact that Quicksilver and Wolverine do kind of have the same hair.
Yeah,
I feel like
apparently
more of that should be done. Yeah.
try to normalize Wolverine's hair by making it a popular hairstyle.
No, I mean no. I think more of the two comic characters who don't like each other realizing that they have the same look and having to be like, well, one of us is going to have to change.
I feel like that happened in there was a issue of Star Trek meets the X-Men where it was just I think Worf and Wolverine got along, but then that was TNG, and then it was original Star Trek meets the X-Men, and both Dr. McCoys are just annoyed that they have the same name. Because Beast is Dr. McCoy. Yeah. So, I'm kind of... unfortunately, I don't have, I don't think we're going to get a Mephisto. Maybe we'll save that for the Doctor Strange movie. I'm wondering, I'm still holding out for Arcana Jones to be an actual thing that shows up in the middle of this, even if it's just not even an important element, that we find out that this town was also its own coven of witches. Like that's the whole reason Agatha was there to begin with.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
Oh.
that.
So that's like this is where Agatha learned more, or has been teaching others about how to do magic, and that we're gonna find out that all the sitcom wives are all actually witches, which I think would be fun.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
But
I'm rooting for that.
Yeah, because I don't want it to end up just being a brawl, and I feel like that's what it's going to end up being. And
I feel like
you know,
the show's been smarter than that, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think they devolve into that. I think they're way smarter than that. There's too many things going on that can pivot a fight out of just being a punch fest. If something else pops off, and then everyone has to immediately be like, "Welp, guess we got to go deal with this thing instead." I don't think it's gonna happen. Wild theory. I still think we could get a Fantastic Four reference, because Agatha Harkness canonically was the nanny for Sue and Reed's kid Franklin. So I don't again, I don't necessarily expect it'll happen next week, but like I still think that's on the table.
Yeah, let me call that family I used to babysit. Let's get them.
It'll be the post credit scene when Agatha like is super bedraggled and like pulls up to some house and like uses her magic to smooth herself off, and then knock, and they're like, "Oh, you're back from your vacation." And she's like, "Yeah, how's the baby?" And everyone's like, "Oh
no." There's also a little bit of a rumor going around that if we do have a post-credit scene, because we had another post-credit scene, that this one would actually feature Loki in it. The idea being that we'll get a nod to not the next show. The next show coming out is
Falcon and Winter Soldier comes next, but Loki comes after in the summer.
June? Yeah.
I think so.
So people have been like thinking like, oh, maybe this will be a nod to Loki. And I'm kind of having this like funny like, oh man, what if this ends up, let's say it is a coven, it just ends up like the what's that movie, the Witches of Eastwick, where Jack Nicholson is like the devil, but this time it's Loki. He's stuck in a glass or something. That'd be great. I keep turning this into Practical Magic and Witches of Eastwick. I don't know what I'm doing.
Because you need to watch more witch movies, obviously, because you just really want this to be a rom-com witch movie. And
you know, if there's any witch movie that this is, you know, if the prelude was anything, it was Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'd love it if like, oh man, what if they like start like using so much of their power that they're like running out of things to animate, and they have to like use broomsticks, and then they have to get vacuum cleaners. I was actually talking about that scene from Hocus Pocus the other day. I don't know why I was thinking about it, where they lose their brooms, but they have to get vacuum cleaners and mops and stuff to fly on.
Yeah, I would love it if this whole series was for some reason a setup for the Hocus Pocus sequel we're getting at some point.
Yeah,
Disney Plus just being like, you know what? Fuck it. We have everybody's money anyway. Let's do it.
It's all about synergy, baby.
Oh man, and that's how Mephisto finally shows up in the MCU.
And he is played by the CG rejuvenation of Gary Marshall in Hocus Pocus. It's the Sanderson sisters. I am here for it.
I'm ready.
What we need.
I had a funny I don't know if you guys have been having is there a word for when you like railroad someone with nerd information?
Every conversation I've ever had.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so I had one of those conversations with my boss at work, and you know I was telling about like the theories we were having and all this. And he's like, "Yeah, and that kid is dressed up as Doctor Strange." So what are you talking about? And he's like, "Wanda's kid." It's like, "Oh no, that's he's dressed up as Wiccan, which is who that character becomes later." And I had to go through this whole thing, and I've never seen someone like instantly get bored and instantly have their like you know that feeling when you had a good idea, but then it gets crushed by a fact.
So this entire show every week.
Yeah. So imagine that happening to someone, but also instantaneously becoming uninterested with the fact.
Yeah.
I never seen eyes look sad and then glass over at the same time.
It's because you crushed his own nerd's dream. He thought he had made a cool connection, and then you revealed that while there was a connection, it wasn't the one that he thought.
Yeah, you nerd-explained him. That's what happened.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't come up in an HR meeting later.
Can you get fired for nerd-splaining? I guess we're gonna find out.
I did have a funny. I had a moment where this week I've been working with him all week, and he's like, every time his pants are just slightly too low, and I've been seeing his ass crack every day.
Yikes.
And he's a foot taller than me, so it's like right up in my face. And so I said, like, man, I just see it all the time. It's like, we'll just drop a quarter in there. I don't know. So on Friday, I dropped a pen in there, and it was just this moment of like, you know what? I'm glad we're friends. I think that's the limit, though. That's as far as we can go, is that pen.
Yep, you found.
Because after that, we will actually have to have a discussion.
Yeah, you got right up to the line. You found the line. It is a clearly defined line now.
I found the wall. I touched the wall. I pulled my hand away because it was hot like a stove. And I think I learned my lesson.
Since I think we're winding down, since we're getting off into Luke's Weird Work Stories hour, which is a different podcast. Tony, you mentioned that you had some interesting stuff about credits and that you maybe wanted to
I have
mention.
that. I have a couple of notes. First of all, before I get into my notes, here's a question, and maybe it was mentioned and I missed it. I thought Westview didn't exist. Wasn't that a whole thing? The cops were like,
No.
"You don't recognize Westview. There's a town called Eastview, but there's no town called Westview."
That was
exist.
Well, that was a conversation, but I think the implication is that they, in addition to Westview being taken over by Wanda, people no longer remembered it. Kind of in the same way that people in the town didn't remember who they were. People outside of the town didn't remember it existed.
Bring this up because before she creates the hex, she drives into Westview.
Right.
So, what am I missing?
No.
So, Westview exists, but the people in the surrounding areas of Westview are now forced to not remember it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Got it. Cool. Well, I'll start then with my credits thing. The real hero of this whole show is Deborah Jo Rupp's agent.
Yes.
This is now the third episode. She's been in 4 episodes. First one is Mrs. Hart, and 3 episodes where she is in one shot for half a second. No lines of dialogue. It's the greatest deal since Mark Hamill got second billing in Force Awakens for 45 seconds of screen time. No lines, 3 days in Ireland. You know, that's a hell of a deal. And which is why I think that's also why I'm really leaning into I want their Westview to have a coven so that Deborah Jo Rupp actually has something to do.
I would love if it was like Mistress Hart.
Yes, Mistress Hart, Goody Hart. What else? What else do I have? Yeah, this was kind of, in terms of sitcom references, this was like at the bibliography at the end of your essay where you cite your sources. And I do because I'm that guy. It was established that her parents were killed in 1999. Malcolm in the Middle did not premiere until 2000. Yep.
I was wondering about that.
And all of the DVD box sets wouldn't have existed in 1999. They would have come out in the early 2000s. Now, I'm willing to forgive this because, as someone else has pointed out, it is her memory. She could be, it could be a mandala thing. I'm willing to let that go for the purposes of story. Also, I appreciate, Disney owns everything. They could have just made this, hey, she loved all of the sitcoms that we own now. But I appreciate that they ponied up and they paid CBS Viacom for the Dick Van Dyke Show and the Brady Bunch. Oh, yeah, interesting. Among the DVDs that the Maximoffs have several sitcoms that haven't been directly referenced on the show. The Addams Family, I Dream of Jeannie, Who's the Boss? Shows that, sure, you could make the argument that they're referenced there, but no specific, oh, that's from the opening credits of I Dream of Jeannie, or oh, that's from this scene in Who's the Boss? Which I found that interesting. And of course, with the Dick Van Dyke Show, we get the opening credits where he trips over the ottoman, which, as we all know, is a reference to how Rob Petrie would alter his own universe. So sometimes he would trip over the ottoman, and sometimes he wouldn't. That, of course, is canon. Agatha's line, "I have a theory, but I need more," was one of the working titles for this show.
Yeah.
I really wanted, in the scene where Vision and Wanda are watching Malcolm in the Middle, after he says, what is grief but love persevering, I wanted there to be a pause, and then I wanted Vision to point to the TV and go, "Hey, that's the Breaking Bad guy."
Oh, that would have been excellent.
Would be great. And then, I will. This will be my last note for this thing. And I gotta give a shout out to New Rock Stars for pointing this out. So when Wanda drives into Westview, first of all, I find it weird that superheroes drive cars, but whatever. But Wanda has a New York license plate. And what does it say at the bottom of every New York license plate? Excelsior.
Excelsior.
So I think that's our Stanley shout out for the
Yes,
for
absolutely.
WandaVision. But yeah, no, those were all my little notes, and I am really looking forward to how they wrap this thing up and what this was all a setup for. What larger piece of the franchise this was all gearing up to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'll bring this up next episode, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I've been looking forward to this every week.
Mm-hmm.
When's the next thing we have to do after this? Is it
It would be Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yeah,
but we'll take a dip over into whatever Tony picks for us to watch.
That's right. I don't know what I want to pick. Let me ask this. Now that, because I feel like we're done with the sitcom tropes part of it, are there any sitcoms that you wish they had referenced or done an episode based on? Personally, I really would have loved to have seen like a Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, where it's a 70s sitcom set in the 50s. So it's, the 50s through the lens of the 70s. I would have gotten a kick out of that. It would not have meant anything, but wouldn't have added anything to the show. But I would have loved to have seen their take on a Happy Days like sitcom.
I remember a sitcom that I don't know how popular it was, that I remember watching when I had to be home from school, like if I was sick. I think it was called "By the Time You Read This, I'll Be Gone," or that was the song that played in the opening, and it all took place in a group therapy session. And it was like people dealing with divorce. And I always thought that would be fun, but it's like, I guess that wasn't a popular enough sitcom. I mean, they went to like people's like interior homes and stuff, but it was all about people who were divorced and the relationships they've started developing in a divorce group. I think was called "By the Time You Read This, I'll Be Gone," but yeah, I don't think it's that popular of a one. It's definitely not one that I think the family sat down.
Dear John?
Maybe it was Dear John.
Because I mean, it was Judd Hirsch. It was a support group for divorcees. Yeah.
Okay, that must be
thinking of Dear John, which was on the air for looks like it was on 4 seasons. So yeah, I mean, it was popular enough.
I don't know why that's the one I wanted.
What a deep cut! I love it.
I'm thinking. I mean, I watch a lot of just British television, so even their sitcom tropes wouldn't have quite fit with this model. I think it would have been interesting to see them do like one of the classic like ABC Family lineup type shows, like a Clarissa Explains It All type vibe, which we kind of got a little bit of that nod with like the Modern Family episode, but just something from that sort of era of the Disney ABC world would have been kind of interesting. I don't know. I felt pretty satisfied with the lineup we got.
Oh, sure.
Oh
Absolutely.
man, this makes me think. Like, is the next episode going to be titled something like? What was it? There was like must see TV. There was like what were the catchphrases for watching shows, the sitcoms in a lineup, like on WB or something.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Because
NBC was must see TV Thursdays.
Yeah.
And
Well, ABC, I don't remember. I think this was maybe before Disney acquired them, but it was always TGIF
yes,
yeah.
was the big lineup.
So I think we might get a TGIF, honestly, for
The only other thing I could think of is not a real one, but it's a line from The Simpsons. Lisa's excited for TGIF on ABC, and Bart says, "Lisa, when you grow up, you'll learn that Friday is just another evening between NBC's must see TV Thursdays and CBS's Saturday night crap-a-rama."
I remember that line.
Yeah.
I also love, and I totally get why they didn't do it, but I would have loved to have seen an animated episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which
Or a Muppets Tonight.
I think I can't remember. Did we talk about? I think we talked on the show about them doing an animated episode and it being too similar to the Community Christmas episode.
Yeah, that did come up in
dealing
a
with
theory.
grief. And I gotta say that for all of this, I think the thing that surprised me most is that this is, it's a Marvel show. It's promoting, other pieces of the franchise. I get it. This is all over. I definitely want to watch Captain Marvel because I feel like that would have helped. But at the end of the day, this is a show about grief. And this is a show about being in denial of your own grief and how harmful that is. And I'm like, that's really powerful. And I hope that this helped someone, that they were able to enjoy it, but at the end of the day it was able to help, kind of those like those social media posts. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I hope that someone got a great deal out of this more than just some entertainment, because it's I just really like how they're handling that. So
yeah, concurred.
And and the fact that everyone's being treated so respectfully, and the fact that they're giving all these characters such great dimensions, it's really top notch. I've really enjoyed. So thank you for roping me into this. I've really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. So
great. Now we'll never be able to kick you out.
No, we'll do the first episode of Captain or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'll be like, there were no sitcoms this week. What are the feelings with that? You're like, oh,
well, I think the first bit of it like starts in a museum, and you worked at the Exploratorium, so you're our guy still. There's one episode. I think there's scenes in a museum.
I don't know how long is that recording session going to go. I don't know how much time we want to devote to that, or how much I should or should not drink before that. Because I got some thoughts, but I don't know if they're appropriate for this show or not.
That's for the special Patreon only episodes where we just rip into the museum layout. Yeah.
Man, if the limit for me on this show is talking about the pen that I put in the ass crack of my boss, I mean, what's the Patreon gonna have?
Here's the thing. I don't think we properly discussed boundaries and limits before we started recording, so we're just discovering them as we go, and that's the worst way to do it. So it's fine. Fine.
All right. Well, I'm excited. And yeah. I don't know how to end this besides you're welcome. See you later.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And Feyhd, we miss you.
Get over here, Feyhd. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.